Hey, welcome to The Melancholy Guy, a companion podcast to my Tumblr blog, The Melancholy Guy, daring to be black, open, and free. The ventures of a divorced, open, polyamorous African American male. I am the Melancholy Guy, Calvin, or CPJR if you know me. And definitely today, I believe that change I must or die I will. Hey, welcome to the first recording of the Melancholy Guy in 2018. Happy New Year to those who are catching this after the New Year. Welcome. Last time I recorded was on Christmas Day, and here it is. New Year's Day, and recording again, and welcome. So, what's happening? So this podcast is basically a companion podcast to my Tumblr blog, The Melancholy Guy, which can be found at melancholyguy.tumblr.com. I'm out of practice. And so basically the blog is about my life and how I came from or went from being monogamous to being non-monogamous, how I opened up my marriage at the time, and now I live a completely open polyamorous life. Probably not as glamorous as you think it is. Probably kind of even more boring now because I actually date less now than I ever did in my life. Because I kind of know what I want, so I'm not really open to just exploring anymore. I'm kind of like open into doing my thing, which is what I'm doing right now. So this podcast is only about 15 minutes. It's a mini podcast right now. I started this as an experiment to work on building my studio and learning how to produce podcasts. So basically, it's broken up into three sections. The blog, my life, and then we talk about podcasting in general most of the time, if we have that time. So like I said, right now they're mini podcasts, about 15 minutes. Soon there will be longer and more in-depth. So if you've been listening, probably haven't been listening, or catching this now for the first time, I've been talking about reading my blog, how I first got into non-monogamy. I was married at the time and discovered that maybe I wasn't built for monogamy. Maybe it just wasn't, or maybe it just isn't my thing, even though I keep trying it over and over again, having the same results. And then when I really thought about it, I never actually lived monogamously, I guess, until my first marriage, when I attempted to live monogamously, and that was a disaster. And I didn't really want to, but that's what, you're taught. That's how you should be. A respectable young man, a respectable young woman, especially if you're a Christian, you should be monogamous, right? You should get married, and then you're good. You're set. You're not going to have any more desires for other people. That's easily squashed. Follow the way, do the work, and then you'll be happy. There was no happiness in it for me. And it wasn't then just for me. It was like we've discovered as I talked. For me, it wasn't just the sexual part of monogamy that was my biggest issue. My biggest issue was the emotional intimacy that you aren't really open or allowed to have intimate relationships with people of the opposite sex, and that's who I mostly have intimate relationships with, people of the opposite sex, women, and be that a platonic relationship or be that a sexual relationship. So basically, this is the 16th episode. So basically, the last 15 episodes have been getting me up to this point in my blog, where we finally got into non-monogamy, my ex-wife and we entered into swinging. And I talked about the deal that was made and how we actually got into it. And I want to actually talk about swinging now. So let's talk about swinging. Swinging for the most part is it's basically the practice of married couples or couples in committed relationships having sex with other couples, swapping partners, or adding other single people into their relationship. There's basically like a lot of parties, a lot of just couples dating each other, meeting in hotel rooms, homes, traveling together, just a bunch of sex. There's orgies, like I said, parties. There's clubs, all kind of things where people just get together for the sake of having sex with other people. Mostly the couples have sex together in the same room. There's often rules involved, something that I didn't like a lot. There's a lot of rules involved. Rules such as no kissing. Rules such as the sex can only be soft, meaning that there can only be maybe oral. There maybe only can be some touching. There can be no penetration, things like that. And they have terms called soft swap, full swap, things like that. Same room, just a lot of rules that you have to learn and how to operate within the swinging community. And it is a community, and that's what I learned, and that's kind of what I liked about it at first. It definitely was a community, and it was something to learn. There was traditions, mores, things that you had to learn how to operate successfully in the community in order to be accepted. Because if you got a bad reputation, you can be out. You can not be invited to parties. You cannot be added to these groups. And if you think about it, and this is something that you should think about if you're thinking about non-monogamy, the swinging community is not seen. You have to definitely go looking for it, but actually it's right there. I live in the DMV, and it's big in this area, but you don't really hear about it. But you know about it, but you don't hear about it. It's kind of like right there, and you definitely can get involved. There's a club up in Baltimore. There's actually a dungeon slash lifestyle club right in DC in Northwest. A lot of people may know it as the Crucible. I'm not saying anything that can't be easily Googled. I think the Crucible also now has other type of parties, events of the erotic nature that's not really lifestyle related, or even BDSM related. But it's right there, out in the open now, kind of. You can't tell from the outside if you ever been there before, but basically it's right there. And so this was our entry point into non-monogamy. And the thing about it, I want to read the first posts in my blog that actually even broached non-monogamy. And it's kind of weird because the timing is off, because the timing of this post was January 2012. And it was titled Teaser, and the post read, wifey and I just had a night. Damn, I really feel sorry for you vanilla folks. Not able to experience complete and total satisfaction. Now that, like I said, was on January of 2012. The exact date of that was January 15th. Now I said we got married in 2007, and this post was January 2012. So I know definitely we started swinging before January 15th, 2012. So actually probably didn't post a lot about our first adventure, so I'm gonna have to go back and just really talk about it, about a lot of the things. And I think I'm running out of time, of course. And I'm gonna talk about how when we entered into the life of swinging, we didn't have any intention. It wasn't something that it's something that we did enjoy, but it wasn't something that we actually expected an outcome from. It was just something we were doing, like dating. But most times when you date as a single person, or even in polyamory, you date kind of with intention, like you're looking for love, or you're looking for a partner, something like that. When we were out there, I guess we were looking for sex, which is something I've never done. So this was completely new for me. Remember, if you think back, I said that we made a deal, and this was my entry point into polyamory, and it ended kind of like it did because you know we didn't have a firm agreement as to what we were doing. I think for her, she was experiencing her sexuality, and me, I was trying to discover non-monogamy. So we were in different places, but we were able to go into this thing swinging with some type of mutuality. And that first post about total satisfaction, I can't remember what that was on January 15th. I know that 2012 New Year's was we went to we did go to a swingers party that New Year's Eve, and we had a blast. I had a blast. We had a blast. We played. We had a good time. It was a big house party. Swingers like to have fun. I must say that I may never consider myself a swinger again, but swingers like to have fun. I like to party with them, if nothing else. They're kind of open and free, and if you get with some really cool ones, you can have a good time. And it doesn't have to be a sexual time; it could just be a good time. But so I think I'm going to leave it at that for now. So basically, we're into swinging now. I'm gonna go on next time I'm gonna get here again and do another recording, probably on Friday. I'm gonna go into how we got into it, like how we actually found community, found dates, and all that kind of stuff, and talk about some of the mistakes that we made, some mistakes I made, some mistakes that we made with expectations and not having the guard up, breaking some of the rules, all that kind of stuff. So it's gonna be interesting to learn about that and talk about that and unpack that time in my life because it was interesting. So my life, I start my new full-time permanent gig on next Monday. So this week I'm off. I resigned from my little temp job I was working. I didn't want to take their money because I was basically training for 6 weeks for a job that I'm not going to stay at. So I decided to resign from that position, take my new position on the 8th. So this week I'll have time to edit and do some cleanup posting and stuff and get myself up. I didn't make my 30-day challenge. I'm gonna redo it. I'm kind of upset about that. Down to 51 seconds. So anyway, shout out to Spreaker and bensound.com for podcasting stuff, and I'll be back on Friday to continue the discussion on swinging. And always remember to love and respect yourself first, and everything else will take care of itself. And peace. And namaste. I messed up something. There you go. I get rusty. You have to do this kind of every day, or you kind of get rusty.